Hello and welcome back. In this session, we will be working on another kind of loop, which is called the for loop. Now, the for loop is basically a very popular loop since everything we are going to be writing will be on one line, and is basically the same. Also, it's the same with the while loop. Okay, so the same thing that's attainable with the for loop, with the while loop, is the same with the for loop. The only difference is that they are differently written. Okay, so the way we compile the while loop is quite different from the way we compile the for loop. Now let's move on to our code and do something pretty quick with that. Now let's go create a new file. So we have for loop, for underscore loop dot php. Alright, I'm gonna put in my HTML doc syntax right there, and have PHP syntax within there. Alright, so I'm going to be straightforward in this. Now what we have in the for loop is the same with the while loop, just the way I said it the last time, and is the difference right here is only the syntax. That is the difference. So what is attainable with it is the same, but some people ask why giving us why are you doing why do we have it differently if they're actually doing the same thing? Then basically it's just preference. Okay, you prefer just some people prefer to use the while loop, some people prefer to use the for loop. All right, so the bottom line is that they're actually doing the same. All right, so it's not there's no one better way of using the loop. There's no one better type of loop. All right, as far as this is concerned, the while loop and the for loop are actually doing the same thing, but the way it's written is quite different, and the for loop is more easier when compiling, okay, than the while loop. The for loop is written in one line, and that's it. Now let's move on to what we have for the for loop. So we have for, okay, just the way we have it in our while loop. Instead of the for, we have the while, but in the for loop we're going to have for. Then we just put the parentheses and we put the block curly brace. Now inside this for loop, inside this parentheses, that's where every of our loop is going to be compiled. Now in the first part of the while loop, if you remember, we actually had the initialized value. That's where the value starts from. Okay, that's where everything starts from. The index value, that's where the value starts from. The initialized value, that's where it starts from. So yeah, we're going to be doing that here also, but we're not going to be putting that outside. In the while loop we did that outside the block, okay, outside the parentheses, but using the for loop we're going to do everything inside the parentheses. So let's just do that. I'm still going to use counter. Alright, so counter, we assign 0 to counter, then we put a semicolon right there, so that ends it there. Okay, doing this, putting the semicolon at the end of this ends it there. So nextly, in a while loop, after creating an initialized value, we did something inside the parentheses. We added the condition. Alright, but right here is still the same thing, but the difference here is that the initialized value is going to be side by side with the condition. Now we're going to have the condition here. Now the condition for that was counter less than 10. Alright, so let's put a semicolon, so that ends it there. Putting a semicolon at the end ends it there. Now lastly we had the increment. Okay, so I'm just going to have the increment. So I have counter plus plus, oh sorry about that, plus plus. Alright, Now we have this written this way. Now inside this block here, I'm just gonna have the just gonna put this, assign the counter right there. Okay, then put a semicolon. So it's quite very easy, and this is just all we need to do to get a result of what we are trying to, get a result 1 0 to 10 9, I mean. So let's go back to our text editor, and let's change this to for underscore loop. What's that? .php. Then click enter. Now that's what we have here. So we have for underscore loop.php. This is what we have here. Alright, so very easy. Still the same way we actually did that in the while loop. Is the same result that we're actually having here. If we want to include the 10, we just have here equal, so it will be less than equal, so it brings in the 10 along that iteration. Now let's add something like a break. So I'm going to have a period dot, then I put a break break tag right there. So let's go back and check that. Okay, so you see that now there is a break at the end of every one of the values that we have here. Okay, so what is happening here is that at the moment the for loop loops through the first one, it brings in the moment it loops through the first value, the break tag comes along, then it loops through the second value, the break tag comes along to the end of the iteration. Now let's go check this. Let's check this before we end this program. So let's go to inspect. Just right click on this and go to inspect. So you're going to see something. Now if you look at this, look at the body, you see that we have 0, we have a break at the end, and the next part, then we have 1, you see there is a break, 2 break, 3 break. So that is it. You see, it's very, very easy. What we have here is that the moment the iteration goes in, immediately the iteration 0, it brings in a break tag, just the way we have it here. That's why it's now stacked upon each other. All right, so that's it on this particular for loop. So I just needed to know something before I turn off this lecture. Now a lot of people always miss this concept. The computer will never do anything unless we tell it to. All right, a lot of people try to, you're thinking the computer will just do something out of the blue. No, the computer will always do something. Will never do something unless we tell it to. Okay, so we need to tell the computer the exact thing that we want done before the specific function happens. We need to tell the computer the exact thing we want done. All right, and also if we miss something, maybe a semicolon, the program will not work. You're trying to write a compile a code and you miss something along the line, the program will not work. Okay, all right, so just basically one mistake, one error, one dot, one semicolon, one period can destroy the whole function and make this kind of look as if the thing is not working, but it's the error is coming from the programmers. All right, so that's what you need to know. That's what you need to know. So everything depends on you when programming. Everything depends on you when programming. So you just need to have that in mind when developing applications, when doing things, when trying to solve problem. Everything depends on you. If you do it right, you see the right result. If you do it wrongly, you get the wrong result. All right, so that's it about this section. I believe you have a good understanding about this section. If you didn't understand the while loop, I know the for loop is straightforward. It's very easy for you to understand, and I believe you have a good understanding of that. If you don't, you can buzz me up. I'm always there to explain further. All right, thank you for your time, and bye for now.